properly, it'll affect your mental ability, and you will eventually die. 3 days without water is an extreme. So one thing to remember, even at rest, the average person will lose about 1 litre of water through breathing and perspiration at rest. That's in a day. Okay, you need, in an ideal situation, 2 to 3 litres a day. Okay, diarrhea, vomiting and so forth, that's also going to reduce your abilities. Okay, that will dehydrate you even quicker. So again, that's why we come to water purification. If your water is clean, sterile, okay, you're going to be able to drink it, and it's going to help you through your situation. If it's dirty, it's unfiltered, it's got bacteria and so forth in it, parasites, it is going to take you downhill. And bear in mind, some parasites, some waterborne parasites, even in the cooler climates, are extremely dangerous to the human body. Okay, so 2 things to remember. Lofty Wiseman said it, it's a very wise thing: ration your sweat, not your water. Okay, so don't exert yourself, sit down, don't smoke, try not to eat foods, especially things that are fatty foods, which take a lot of water out of your body to process. And when you collect from the wild, one of the things I want you to think about is pollution. So if you've got to think about heavy metals, you've got to think about what's local to you. If it's a built up area especially, you've got to think about pollutants that get up in the watercourses, and that happens all over the world. So you want to sterilise it. My personal method, if I'm unsure about the water, I will always try and rig some sort of still. Okay, if you can rig some sort of still and you condense the water into steam, or you heat the water into steam and then condense it back to water, you'll leave literally 99% of the impurities behind. Okay, you then want to clean out your still. You don't want to leave the condensed impurities in it before refilling it, reprocessing your water. And as you will see with the improvised still at home, it's not a hard thing to rig up if you've got a salvager mindset. If you can scavenge, basically it takes, all you need is a vessel that you can create steam in, a system for collecting the steam, and a pipe of some sort to allow it to condense back into water, and a clean collection container. That's another thing, clean collection containers. What you're putting your water in, you've got to make sure it's clean. A go-to to put in your kit that's always handy is a plastic Ziploc bag, quite a sturdy one, with a base that opens out so that I can rest it on something. I can also look through it, see the quality of the water in there, and I would use that for my clean water supply. Anyhow, let's get into it. Let's start. Yeah, guys, Mick here. So a quick challenge to myself. We're going to cover water this week. So, the distillation processes. Let me just move that light. You can see me. There we go. Distillation processes. One of your go-to for purifying water, especially if you manage to get yourself into a location where you can cobble together something basic. Doesn't need to be something miraculous. It's great work of art. It's something very, very simple. So I set myself that challenge. I said, right, 30 minutes, run around the house. What have I got in the house? Pretend it's a house I've never come across before. Went through my shed, went through the cupboards, went through the drawers. What have I got? Grabbed a few items and made myself a quick still. Set myself a system that all water is contaminated, so now I'm having to purify it. So distillation, it removes heavy metals, it removes chemicals, pesticides, it removes parasites, because you're boiling the water. And basically you're boiling the water off, water evaporates, collect it in a pipe, reduce it back to water by cooling it, and it condenses out. Here we go, one quick still. Ta-da! So obviously we've got my heat source here, got a pot there, metal funnel, bit of duct tape, bit of rubber pipe, runs around here and down here into a water or to a collection container, which I've sealed off with a neck scarf just to see if that would work, so that basically the steam doesn't just rise back out, which was one of the first problems I found. Obviously you can see the steam in the pipe running down. There's a flannel duct taped to it there, which I damp down every now and again with a bit of cool water. That just helps it to condense back into water. The pipe comes around here, duct taped again, funnel. Now you see I've got steam escaping, so by putting a bit of weight on that will stop the steam escaping quite as much. But again, I don't want that to be a sealed container. If that's a sealed container, the pipe gets blocked or collapses for any reason, I just made a steam bomb. You know, it's not something that you ever want. It will burn you and it will damage you. And I'll get down here on the floor so you can see. Do excuse me wiggling that about. So here's my water collection. I've been going about 15 minutes now. So the water's collecting in there. This is bunged. The container is quite warm and the pipe is hot. You will notice I've had to support that plastic pipe with a metal wire. And the reason I've had to surround it with a metal wire is in my first attempt it just folded. It got too soft and it collapsed. Just carefully lift the top off of this. You can see the colour of the water in there. The water is black. It is just peaty, dirty water. So there we go. That's what I'm endeavouring to do. So we're going about 15 minutes, and I probably 1/4 of an inch of water in the collection container. You could improve on this. You could use copper piping, you could coil the copper piping, you could run it through a cold water source so it's not contaminating the stuff in the pipe. That would condense it quicker. You could use a bigger container, a bigger funnel. You could use a teapot or a kettle with a spout, as long as the spout's quite high up on it, and run your piping from there. You could seal that up with almost anything you could find, you know. Okay, there are many ways to collect water in the wild. Okay, you can go to a stream, you can go to a lake, you can go to a pond. If you're going to do those things, you're ideally looking for a clean, clear, fast-flowing water system or a moving water system. You want to look at things like silt, you want to look around, see if there's any discharging into it, effluent and so forth. Roads, they quite often discharge their culverts into rivers and waterways. In the UK, and in a lot of northern climates, we're very lucky, we get a lot of rain. So improvise something to collect rain and also make it a shelter. We will start with a simple one. Dutch Army poncho works very well as a rainwater collection system and as a shelter. And I've got it up in this configuration, and I'll walk you through it. Let's have a look. So here we are. I've set the poncho up. I've reversed it because it's easier. I have a shelter underneath it. Okay, it's going to keep the rain off my head. I've taken the hood part of the shelter, I've pulled the drawstrings up and I've tied them off. This creates a bucket underneath the poncho, okay, that will hold up to 4, maybe 5 litres of water at a push. Okay, coming back outside the poncho, the way it's fastened to the trees is quite simple. I've made the hood the lowest section. It's still going to keep the rain off me, but what rain falls on it will collect, run down here and collect in the hood there, and I can then take that water out. And all rainwater is pretty much safest or safe to drink. Okay, you've got to look at the surfaces you collected on, make sure they're not covered in mildew, algae or contaminants, but that's your safest option. Collect your rainwater, boil your rainwater just in case you have contaminated it yourself, and go with that. And that's quite simple. That is just a poncho shelter upside down, or you could do it the right way up and invert the hood the other way, it's your choice. Tied between 4 trees, giving me shelter underneath and a water collection system, rainwater collection, easy peasy. Okie doke, let's have a look at this one. Standard tarp shelter. Okay, again, the tarp is angled so that it comes down, and in this corner I've hung a pot. Rainwater will collect on this tarp and run down it. What I have done for today for my use of filming under there, I've tied that centre section up higher, which has caused a ridge here. It'll still collect on this, however it will just be this side that's collecting it. Okay, so in an ideal world, just figure 4 it, the 4 corners, okay, Your fourth corner is your lowest corner. Water lands on it, runs down to the pot. And purely simply give a demonstration. As easy as that, okay? So think shelter, think water, okay? And as I said, collecting rainwater, if you're in an environment where you can collect rainwater, it's the way to go. It simplifies it, makes life a lot easier. Most rainwater is going to be safe to use, however, boil it, right? I don't know that that tarp hasn't come into contact with something. I don't know that a bird hasn't come along and left its doings on it. I've put it on the ground and it could have picked up a contaminant. So boil that water just to be double safe. You do not want to be ill when you're in a survival situation. Right? So that's just a couple of easy shelters. There we go. That's water collection. We can collect from rainwater. That gives us quite a safe source of water which we can then boil and drink. The next thing we're going to look at is water collection from ground sources. Okay, so if you're collecting from a ground source, you need a filtration system, and there are many on the market, and I would advise always going with a recommended brand. Don't go with a cheap brand. What we'll also do is I'll improvise a water filter in a minute, and we'll see how that works. Okay, so you have many things like the Life straw that you can use. They're cheap, they're efficient, and they do work very, very well. But again, we're talking about survival, so ideally it's something you should have in your kit. The other alternatives you can go to is the Millbank bag, which is an old military system, and basically it's a bag made of a natural fibre that expands when it gets wet. So this bag takes a bit of preparation. You need to get it wet, you need to soak it and let it soak for a while. You only ever use it one way out. Never turn it inside out and try and use it the other way. Purely simply because your outside is your clean water area, your inside becomes your dirty water area, and I'll attempt to show you now. So there we go, Millbank bag, okay, and it comes with its instructions there, yeah, and what you have here is a material bag, natural fibres, comes down to a corner here. It's going to be windy, so it's going to be a pain in the butt. So basically what you do is you open your Millbank bag out, and I'm just going to do a little bit to demonstrate it. I've got some dirty water here. What I've done, I contaminated this with some peat off the ground. It is absolutely black. It's not... Okay, so that's the Millbank bag. Now, that water was absolutely filthy. Okay. Absolutely filthy. The water was absolutely filthy. I've said that about 5 times. That's the colour of it inside the Millbank bag, and that's the colour of it coming out of the Millbank bag. Colour in the Millbank bag, colour out of the Millbank bag. Now, downside of the Millbank bag, they take time. Okay. They take a little bit of time. Invariably on a day like today, you'll hang your Millbank bag, the wind will blow and it will blow off. But there we go. Simple Millbank bag system. Works very, very well for taking out particulates. Okay, it's not going to remove all the heavy metals. It's not going to remove bacteria and viruses, but it is going to take out all the particulate matter in your water. So again, it's a nice simple piece of kit, and if you're somewhere where you know you've got spring water, you've got relatively safe water that's not contaminated with heavy metals, you can use this to take out the particulates. You can then use a sterilisation form, whether it be tablet form, so in something like a SteriTab, or whether you go to boiling it. We'll let that run for a minute or two and see how that comes out. Whilst that's running and dripping, because it does take a little bit of time, we will improvise a water filter. So, when we were at home, we did the improvised still. Okay, and I said then I showed you water filters. So if you're in an urban survival situation and you need to purify your water, can you improvise a still? Quite simple. Take your filter, okay? Now these filters take water from the top and drain out through the bottom. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try and rig something to put clean water into this bottle. But the problem is, how do you put the water in? You can't tip it. So a little bit of thought, 10 minutes thought. We go back to those things that you would always, if you were in a survival situation, especially an urban survival situation, disaster, flooding like Katrina, where they were surrounded by water they couldn't use. Okay, things you want to look for: plastic bags, sturdy plastic bags, and this is quite a simple filter system. Cut the corner off the bag, don't create any rubbish. Take the filter, push the filter down the bag, and I wanted a relatively tight fit. Slide the filter up the bag so that you have about an inch of the bag on the filter. Your urban survival tool par excellence, bit of duct tape. Again, in an urban situation, you click this. This stuff is like gold dust. It's so much you can do with it. And there we have our filtration system. Place that into the bottle there. Again, we take our filthy water, tip it in, and leave it to do its thing. Now, as I say, filter's doing its stuff. These are charcoal filters, and these will remove 99% of your heavy metals, chlorines, salts. They won't remove all the bacteria, they won't remove all the viruses, so they're still going to want to boil the water. The first couple of times you run it, as you'll see with this, the water's going to be slightly cloudy. That's the activated charcoal in the filter, but the more you use it, the clearer it will become. So again, that's an improvised water filtration system, cobbled together out of what you can find. Now, because it's been a pain in the butt and being a bit windy today, I'm going to pause that there whilst this does its thing. You can see how this works is quite simple. You pour the water into your largest container. Okay. You pour the water in so it does not come up through the spout, and that's essential, otherwise you're going to contaminate your other bottle. Take your other bottle and you slide it over that spout and you place that in direct sunlight, and what will happen, the water will vaporise in your larger bottle, turn to moisture, steam basically, and then will condense on the walls of your other bottle. Okay, and again it will fill up to here, up to the edge of the spout. Then by tapping it, you can get the water droplets to drop down the side and collect in the bottom. Again, and that's a still system, it's a slow system, but if you were scavenging from what you can find quite large water containers, the old pure water tanks that you find in offices and things like that, great for running this system. Or even small bottles. If you were in a really dire strait and you're somewhere warm and hot, you nearly always find plastic bottles. Collect up the plastic bottles, set this system up, right, especially through the day on the ground where the water is going to warm in the larger container, and then at night cool and the vapour that's caught in this container on this side will condense, turn into drinking water. That's a very basic, simplified solar still. Okay. Other things you can do, you can take clear plastic bags, a clear plastic bag like that, take a plant, place it over the branch of the plant and seal it up tight. Okay, and then through the day that plant releases carbon dioxide, right, into the bag. Carbon dioxide contains a lot of moisture. It will form droplets on the edge of the bag, and you collect it up the bag, and obviously ideally you want it on a branch that way, and the water will collect down there. Try it at home, okay, especially on a nice warm day when the leaves are all nice and green. That will work ideally well. If you use a black plastic bag and you put dead leaf into it and put that somewhere warm, right, and I mean dead green leaves, okay, so branches, leaves that have broken off something, lay them into it, raise the plastic bag inside with a stick, leave it in direct sunlight, right. The moisture in those leaves as they break down will condense into water in the bag. Again, that can be collected and that can be drunk, okay. Anybody that's ever done any form of composting or left something that's a vegetable matter in a bag will suddenly find all the moisture's collected in it. So it's a very simple system and it works very, very well. So now, let's get on to the important things. Let's make a brew. So let's have a look at our improvised water filters and Millbank bag and see how they did. So you see the Millbank bag collected a lot of rubbish in it, particulates. And took out about 98% of the particulates from the water, and therefore leaving the water clean. Obviously you're going to want to boil that. Our improvised water filter, using an off-the-shelf water filter for a jug basically that you can use at home, and those come in various grades. Some of them will actually be used for, or designed for use for well water, so they will take out 99% of bacteria, they'll take out chlorine, they'll take out lead, they take out copper, they take out pesticides. So again, very, very good system for improvisation. So here we have it. So we have the bag, which I've suspended here, comes down into the bottle here, and the way I've done this is purely and simply I can unplug that filter from there. That's my water there, and show you how confident I am. No real taste. It's clean water. So, you know, I'd boil that now just to make sure I was happy. But I know the water source that I've taken it from, and I know how I've dirtied it. So risk-wise, is the minimum. And then obviously boiling it, we come to our Kelly kettle. I've taken the plug out so I can keep a rolling boil on that. You want to keep a rolling boil on that for 6-7 minutes if you can. Other thing you can do for filtration, if you've got a container with a large enough, excuse me walking around, if you had a container with a large enough spout and a little bit of string and a little bit of bodging, you could collect the condensation from that in that bottle or in a container. And as we see, we've collected that. If I then put the lid on it, do excuse that waving around, put the lid on it, and I let that cool. As that cools, the water will condense in there and give me a purified, clean drinking water. So again, if I put a dirty water into the Kelly kettle, rig something along that lines, I could collect the water, condense it down and make a clean water system. And there are many ways of doing this. You could put a dirty water or a bowl of dirty water inside a clear plastic bag, tie the plastic bag off, and let the water condense inside that. Again, when it cools, the water, it will turn back into water from steam droplets on the plastic bag, and you can collect those and drink those, obviously being careful not to spill the container inside. So that's that process. Anyhow, onward and upward, time to make a brew. Well, there's a disaster. Bit of a break art day today. So I was working with my Kelly kettle, moved it to one side, and bear in mind I've had this Kelly kettle donkey's years, and yeah, ended up clouting it on something and it's popped the seam on the bottom. Now don't take that as bad construction by Kelly kettle. A Kelly kettle is about 10 years old and it has been bounced around, used continuously, and it's never let me down until this point, but it's actually cracked it above the seam. Yeah, gutted. That's the Kelly kettle gone. But it brings back something I'm always saying. Alright, one is none, two is one. I've got my gasifier stove, so I'm going to do my boil in the bag. Bit of a bugger, but there we go. So that gives you a chance to see me set the gasifier stove up. So there's the base, there's the little bowl, there's the fire pit. Push out to there. That slots on there like that. Hopefully you can all see that. Inside the kit I carry some wool and pellet because that gives me a really good fuel source for the backup. And it is bitterly cold now. The wind's getting up and I think it's going to, well, it feels like snow. Whether it will or not I don't know. So we're going to go again, quick resources. We're going to go with the fire gel as a lighting system, which will also allow me to start cooking straight away. So we'll pop that in there on my pellet, put that to one side. Oh dear, now the light has run out of gas. I'm having one of those days. Again, one is none, two is one. That sits on there. Let's move you up a little bit so you can see what's going on. I've stuck a boil in the bag inside there. Lid won't quite go down, but I'm too cold and too uncomfortable to mess about with that, so we'll get that fired up. Right guys, that's it. Water purification. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it's given you some ideas. That wasn't a hundred, 100 ways you purify water. There are many different methods you could use. Do your research, have a look, learn, figure out what works for you. That's just a selection of ideas in different scenarios. Anyhow, I'm going to have my scoff now, but before I have my scoff, a quick chat. I don't have any sponsorship. I'm not supplying kit. Everything I buy myself. Not saying I wouldn't accept it if somebody wants to send me something to review, have a look at and try out. Yeah, of course I would. I'm not daft. So at the end of the day, I do put forward things that I think work. I do show you stuff that I think's good kit. And one thing, in fact two things that I've been trying out over the last, one of them I've been trying out for nearly a year, and the other one I've been wearing for literally 3 months, and have proved their worth to me, are these. So you go out, you do your survival, you do your camping, you do your hiking, you do your bushcraft. Your mobile phone, it's an essential item. I've had many mobile phones over the years. I won't talk about brands too much apart from this one. Yeah, Armour 14, look it up, that's all I'll say, look it up. It's a bloody good phone. It's an Android, it's got a good camera on it, but the big bonus is it's a rugged phone. I've not been able to break this one in nearly a year, and that's rare for me. The other thing is that the battery power on it is immense. I literally charge this once every 5 days. Okay, if I put it onto low usage mode, I can literally go 14-21 days without a charge. It is an amazing piece of kit, but it's a bulky phone. So the issue was finding a phone pouch it would fit into, and that's not so easy, because you can go around the phone shops, and as soon as they saw it they were like, no, 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 no. So I started looking around on the internet, and I've had in the past a couple of the cheap canvas phone pouches and that, but never lasted that well. They're usually the Velcro deteriorates quickly, or the stitching goes, and you end up bodging it up yourself. However, I spent the money. The wife said, spend a few extra pounds. Don't spend your usual £2.50. Spend yourself a little bit more, and it wasn't expensive. But I bought a One Tigris pouch. Right now, I've got to say this, and it's rare you'll hear me say about company. One Tigris, brilliant. I am astounded with this pouch. Okay, this is the last 3 months I've been using this. That's the longest I've had any pouch, and it shows no sign of wear or tear whatsoever. Velcro on the front there. You want to put a mold patch and emergency contact details on there, you can do. It's got a large Velcro area which hasn't deteriorated, with a flap, which means I can open it quite easily, but it's not going to collapse or give away on me. Everything's double stitched. Heavy duty canvas, mold fitting on the back, it'll go on any belt. It's got a sturdy clip ring there, so you can put it on a lanyard, put it on a carabiner, whatever you need to, hang it from your kit, hang it up in your basher or whatever. The elasticated sides are 2 layers, double stitched again. There's no sign of any wear or tear on those. So take it from me, and it'd be nice if the company sees it. One Tigris. That is astounding. You know, it's changed my view on looking at branded kit. I might have a look at some more of their kit, and it'd be nice to try it out in the future. So yeah, maybe that's me selling myself a little bit, but if I think it's good gear, as I said to you in the past, I'll tell you it's good gear. If I try something and it turns out to be junk, by hell, I'm going to tell you it's junk, right? So yeah, if you're looking for a phone pouch, for your hiking, your walking, your climbing or whatever, yeah, I can recommend that One Tigris phone pouch. And again, that wasn't sent to me, wasn't given to me, I bought that myself, but it's damn good kit. Anyhow, I'm going to get on with some dinner, okay? Warm myself up a bit. Didn't want to light a fire in the woods today. They've got a course running up here, so I didn't want smoke everywhere. So you have to respect other people. Guys, as water purification, this is Mickey, okay? It's been Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. Hope you and your families are good. Hope your friends are good. Hope the weather is better wherever you are. Have your adventures, get outdoors, but please be safe. Love those you do, forgive those you don't. And as always, my friends, please Peace and light be upon you all. Please like, please subscribe, please send us a comment, tell us what you think. Are we going the right direction? Is this more of what you want to see? But this has been Mickey, Hampshire Outdoors Survival. Catch you later. See you on the next one.